It's finally an ideal time to go for a hunt like this. It's the weekend, and generally speaking, unpopular maps such as Medved-Taiga tend to have more multiplayer servers open than on a weekday, and that's kind of what I used to do when I would hunt maps such as Medved a little more often. Wait for the weekend and then go for the hunt when there are at least a couple more options for the maps that we can actually go to. And I've been wanting to get to Medved for quite some time, and it always ends up being a weekday, and there's like 2 servers open, and it's not really ideal, especially when the times aren't all that good. And the other side of it is, we could do single player, but really the only Medved hunting we've done in the last year for Medved single player has been reindeer, and I just think we're not likely to find much of anything outside of maybe some reindeer, and I want to go for like a full proper hunt and not just focus on one species. And of course, starting with a reindeer, that was the best thing at this lake, a nice little gold. And I think this is going to be interesting. Right now, it is getting into moose string time, and I'm sure we'll encounter some moose as we go along, but we're not going to target them too much. I want to run around, look for maybe musk deer, potentially reindeer as well, and just maybe even some brown bears out around the rest zones and feed zones, just kind of see how we do. Ooh, not too bad. First brown bear we see is a mythical. Now he's kind of running off through the brush there. I actually have the normal 338, and you may have noticed at the start with the reindeer that I grabbed the 4570 to take that, and I wanted to kind of do like a bit of a throwback loadout to what was available when we would have been hunting Medved kind of around the time that it came out. And oddly enough, the 4570 is never a weapon that I would have chosen back then, but now it actually makes a lot of sense. And if the spare ever gives us an opportunity, I think it's going to, we'll try to get him with the 338 since bear and moose are our only 2 options for it today. And I was trying to think if weapon pack 1 was a thing at that point, and I'm not 100% sure, but either way, I decided to go with all base game weapons, and that means we don't actually have the 22, and there's no opportunity to do the 22 strat of just kind of shooting the ground near him and getting him to go alert, but running kind of the old-fashioned way, get him alert and take the shot that way will do. And that's a pretty nice bear. It's a red-brown fur type. I did get his track on the way down through here, and I'm trying to think what we have a diamond of. It may be a red-brown. I don't even know if they've maybe changed the name of them, because I kind of feel like cinnamon might have been a thing. Maybe it was never a thing in Call of the Wild. I know Classic has cinnamon brown bear, but anyway, a nice mythical to kind of get us going here. I wanted to go up and check this area. I know I said we weren't going to focus on moose too much, but at some point, maybe around the time of the Aurora update, it seemed like one of the hotspots for moose became this chunk of the northern coast, and it is moose string time. Obviously, we can run through and end up finding brown bear and stuff in the process, and we'll see if there's anything good hiding up there. Gotta say, it works better when we don't spook them. Another mythical. I want to say it's a blonde. The albinos are, in a weird way, almost like sickly pale looking in comparison. So I do believe that is not a rare, but I've got to say, if we ever found a big albino like that, that would be insane. And you know, that was part of the kind of drawback to Medved. Of all the things that we don't have on this map, it's mostly all the cool potential rares. And I know there's the albino mission animal brown bear. I shot that long before trophy lodges were a thing, so that is not in our lodge. And if it were ever to happen, no doubt there'd have to be a spot cleared, but let's see, that is a reindeer track, I think. The blood should be somewhere up here to determine his fur type just based on that. And it is a blonde, so nothing crazy, but kind of interesting 2 mythical brown bears in a row. Gray-brown for musk deer. I don't know if I've seen that just yet. I've been talking about it ever since the update for it, where like all the different fur types, basically they've gotten rid of the word common and added actual descriptions based on the color. So another map that we've not touched that much. It's going to be good to learn a couple of those things and know what we're looking for. But mythical brown bear number 2, this time a little less struggles to get him. 26.1 and 402 kg, both of them over 400, that ain't bad. Ooh. Level 5, 265 to 319, not the big rack, but one of the bigger racks. If there's anything that I can take away from this, it's just, so often there are questions about, how do you find so many animals, or I'm not seeing any animals when I play, like, what am I doing wrong? Ultimately, what we're doing is hunting moose in the location that I tend to know they are, and you can find stuff like that all throughout the Discord and all over YouTube. And if not for the fact that I decided to go and hunt the currently active animal, and when I say active, I generally mean species that are drinking, I'd have never known this was up here. I wouldn't be up here for any other reason than moose, really. I mean, maybe brown bear and musk deer in the early hours, but then at that point, he probably wouldn't be right along the ice, and that's not a guaranteed diamond. I don't think that rack may have some potential to troll, but I think the point remains. When you're hunting for maybe not a specific species diamond, just like diamonds or trophies in general, whatever's active is kind of the species to target. And, we had the opportunity on Friday's stream to take a diamond line with the 4570, and I kind of overlooked that and ended up using the 338. I think I want to try to take this guy with the 4570, as Cert 12 is just running in circles. Alright, we'll see if we can get 0 for 150. When he lifts his head, we're going to attempt a heart shot and hope that we can drop it in. That is so cool. I love drop shots with this gun. I think there's multiple aspects to it. One is the fact that I usually use the Argus scope, and that extra zoom makes the recoil look a lot worse than it maybe is. But then I also think maybe the 4570 recoil is just not that bad, because you get to see a lot more of the drop. I mean, if you watch some of my monthly montages, for instance, you'll often see an animal gets dropped and then I'm like struggling to get the scope back on it. With the 4570 in a case like that, it is not at all an issue. That's such a cool thing. Like an animal of that size to drop as well. Let's take a look and see what we got. 279.3, he made it by about 5. I was actually considering today doing a big game hunt of some kind, so maybe like SRP or Leighton. Go figure. Best of both worlds, head out to Medved, a map that I've been wanting to get on for quite some time. And we got a big game diamond. Now I don't know what we're going to do with it in the trophy lodge, but I'm quite a fan of the diamond moose. I think they look good, so we'll find them a spot. I'm looking at our options here. I've been wanting to find a musk deer this entire hunt, and finally we ended up with the opportunity to change the time. And the primary reason I've wanted to is because I do have the 223 for them today. In fact, the first diamond I ever took in Call of the Wild all the way back in October of 2017 was a musk deer with the 223, and kind of again tying back to the beginning of the video where we were talking about our loadout, that was the weapon of choice for the musk deer. So finally the opportunity to use it. I mean, they are running everywhere. I just saw a better estimate on one of these guys. I don't know which. I guess it was him. Gold is somewhere in the vicinity of 160, I think. So if we can use the correct weapon, we might have a shot at getting a gold one. I don't know where that shot impacted. Maybe too high. That would be my guess. Yeah, if he wants to. Yeah, he's starting to drop. Okay. That was our chance, and I think we got a lung. So interesting way for that to work out. This lake is loaded with musk deer, and all males. That may be... At one point, my lake was kind of like this in single player, but it ended up where it's mostly female musk deer. Maybe that's a thing that can happen. 1 gold there at 172. They all had a shot at it, at least. I think this would have been our second one. That's a silver at 138. I think his minimum estimate was like 137 or something. And that is Vital Blood, so despite the rocky shooting there, this guy as well, at least we got the full score on 165.9, misses gold by about 2, so I guess we made the right choice in the first one we shot. I will say I was hopeful to maybe stumble into a potential rare reindeer as we were out here. And like I said, we weren't going to target him too much, but as we are winding down with this hunt, I thought it would be worth coming up here to the big lake in the northeast and at least giving it a look. And I would say that's the best reindeer we've seen thus far, so we'll go ahead and hopefully fire only one last round from the 4570. If it can do as well as it did with the moose, we will be all set. And I think we are just a touch further away. We'll kind of keep the shot a little higher in the chest. Alright, so the only explanation I have for that is it must have hit a rock hitbox that maybe is a little bit too big. Follow-up was fine and got him down. The only unfortunate thing is, okay, we got the spot up here and it is a female. Kind of going back to all those male musk deer down in the southeast. This lake in the northeast seems to be mostly female brown bear, so that was expected, but you always want to get a look before you have them go out of sight. That might be a fun thing to continue doing though, kind of like using the old base game weapons and crafting loadouts that'll be effective whether it's on a new map or an older map, but nice 344 reindeer to wrap up. And of course we have a new diamond moose that we're going to have to find a space for in the trophy lodge, so I think it's about time to head back and find that space. Now this was the room that kind of inspired the idea of potentially going for a big game hunt today, and at the end of the day, in terms of the trophy that we got, big game was the result. And I just think, you know, we've had a couple of small diamond cape here for a while, and maybe doing moose and then something else on this wall would make it look better. I like it, but it is kind of just a display of axis deer, and I feel like we could do better, so maybe that will be a catalyst to find other things for that room at some time in the future. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.